G'day guys and gal. There are a lot of ways to destroy the world, massacring the environment, giving immature man-children access to nuclear weapons, or banning pornographic content on OnlyFans. You don't need to use a big-ass planet-busting missile or some super virus to do it, but it's way quicker if you do. The factions in Warhammer 40k are not very good sports, often blowing up entire worlds to prevent them from falling into enemy hands. Some of these Exterminatuses are justified, and some are wildly petty. Today we'll go over what an Exterminatus is, the various methods and weapons that are capable of doing an Exterminatus, before diving into what the other non-Imperial factions do if they want to get in on the planet-ending fun. Let's get into it. We all know the classic Exterminatus. Drop a big ass bomb, then bada bing bada boom, the planet goes kaput. Well, this is the best way to get the job done. Shockingly, these world-ending super nukes are rare and expensive as shit, so other methods had to be developed. The first and most common method is to get an Imperial fleet to bomb the ever-living shit out of a planet. There is no special sauce or trick in this one. They just carpet bomb a planet's tits till it's flatter than a bulimic teenager. This method is reasonably cheap in the grand scheme of things, as all the missiles fired can be recreated by the Imperium without too much issue. Certain smaller cyclonic torpedoes can also be used to speed up this type of process. The next method, which is the classic one nuke no worries mate method, is the use of larger and more complex cyclonic torpedoes. Due to the rarity of these type of superweapons, only the Inquisition and Astartes chapters have access to these, whilst the Imperial Navy generally has to rely on mass orbital bombardment to get the job done. This method generally entails triggering a chain reaction, such as igniting a planet's atmosphere or creating a huge nuclear explosion. Planets who are wiped out by this will generally maintain their structure and mass, but will find themselves lacking a biosphere, or any form of life. The next method is the virus bomb method, which is probably the least effective out of all of them, but will still ruin your day. A bomb is dropped that unleashes an extremely fast-acting virus which turns all biomatter it touches into extremely flammable sludge. That's already pretty bad, but it gets worse when that sludge is then ignited, causing a planet-wide huge firestorm. You might be like, how the fuck is that the least effective? And the answer to that is that it doesn't take out a planet's atmosphere, and simply hopping into any half-decent bunker will protect you. When Istvan III was virus bombed, about 75% of the space marines on the planet were able to survive by mad dashing into nearby makeshift bunkers. And when the planet of Tellurian was virus bombed, the population survived by living underground. Once the raging firestorm clears, you can even resettle on the planet's surface. Obviously, the score on TripAdvisor will drop dramatically, but hey, at least your planet isn't gone. The final main method of planet busting that the Imperium uses is the two-stage cyclonic torpedoes. Whilst most of the above methods mentioned are designed around wiping out a planet's biosphere, shit like Necron Tomb Worlds aren't very bothered by that. Hence you gotta get a little bit deeper. The two-stage cyclonic torpedo Exterminatus involves firing one big-ass bomb which cracks a planet's crust and exposes its core, and then the second big-ass bomb hits that core and destabilizes it, causing the planet to implode. Nasty. There are a few other ways the Imperium can end a world. Majorkill, aka Space Alexander the Great, once fucked a world by flinging its own moon at it, whilst Lord Commander Kree destroyed a world by overloading a gigantic nuclear reactor on it. As they say, there's plenty of ways to fuck a cat. I think that's how the saying goes. So what justifies an Exterminatus? The Imperium claims that an Exterminatus is always a last resort, and that they hate to do it, but there are plenty of very trigger-happy people who have ended a world that definitely didn't need ending. During the Months of Shame, the Inquisition destroyed quite a number of functional and loyal Imperial worlds purely because people that might become heretics later landed on these worlds for fuel and supplies. Yeah, that was a weird time. Exterminatuses are generally safe for shit like when Tyranids have overrun a world and are basically just eating it, or the forces of Nurgle have turned it into one big pile of AIDS jizz. That's when an Exterminatus is a huge vibe. But there are times when especially petty Imperial commanders will lose a planet to, let's say, some Tau, yet they still Exterminatus it, even though the Tau would have improved the world if anything. Planet-ending toys are not unique to the Imperium, however. The other factions have their own methods. The Elder have weapons called Fire Hearts, which are bombs that you plant on a planet's surface, then use some voodoo to activate. Works a treat. The Dark Elder have a number of devices from the height of the Elder Empire that can also cause a ruckus. they can move stars around, which would be a huge pain in the ass if they got rid of your sun, cause no more tanning. They probably have a bunch more planet enders, but Eldar aren't really known for destroying worlds, it's just not really their vibe. Chaos, however, is able to destroy worlds in some colourful ways. Abaddon's flagship, called Planet Killer, can, you guessed it, kill planets. It does this by firing a fuck-off gun called the Armageddon gun into a world and yeah, you can guess what happens next. Another fun method that Chaos can use to yeet a world into oblivion is by summoning Aetios Ra Kares. This greater demon of Titsnitch is so powerful and batshit insane that immediately upon summoning it, it will destroy everything around it, including the world it has been summoned onto. Very fun. Blackstone fortresses can also destroy worlds or even stars if you know how to use them properly. Abaddon didn't know how to do that though, so he instead threw one of them at Cadia and it achieved the same result. It'd be like not knowing how to fire a rocket launcher, so you just throw it at someone really hard. During the War of the Beast, the Orcs were able to come up with their own Super Exterminatus weapons. See, they had attack moons, which were pretty fucking bonkers. These moons could be thrown at worlds, or they could produce gravity whips. Gravity whips being a weapon that greatly increased the gravity on a world, so much so that anyone on it would immediately be crushed and all structures would be flattened. War of the Beast was a wild time. Any Tyranid invasion could be considered an attempted Exterminatus. They consume all biomatter on a planet and leave it a dead floating husk. Necrons have a few ways to ruin your day. A Necron world engine is like a Death Star and acts accordingly, being able to fire a shitload of energy at a planet. Their most powerful weapon, however, is the Celestial Orrery. Honestly, this is by far the most overpowered device in the galaxy. Basically, it's a map of the galaxy, except it's interactive. If you press Ctrl-Delete then end task on a star or a world, it will be destroyed. Fortunately, the keepers of the Celestial Orrery are very responsible and refuse to use it in an act of war. Instead, they just use it to prune the galaxy and keep balance. It's implied that fucking with the Orrery can cause a chain reaction and end up doing an unbelievable amount of damage. It's a good thing that Necrons can't sneeze, otherwise we could be fucked. Believe it or not, the Tau can also destroy worlds and stars, albeit accidentally. They have experimented with Dyson Sphere technology in order to capture the energy of a star, but every attempt so far has resulted in the star being destabilized and going supernova, wiping out its local system. Hey, an accidental Exterminatus is still an Exterminatus. Commander Farsight once carpet bombed the living shit out of a planet, then terraformed it so it became wildly flammable before then setting it ablaze to wipe out every Orc spore on it. This is more or less a combination of a virus bomb and an orbital bombardment Exterminatus. Likewise, on a water planet, he created gigantic tsunamis, and on a rocket planet, he created apocalyptic earthquakes, all of which could be considered a low-level Exterminatus. One of the Tau's experimental weapons exploded once and it took the entire moon it was on with it, so if they figure out how to recreate that, then they have another option there. But yeah, the Tau aren't huge on planetary holocausts, so a full-on Exterminatus is not something they often go for. Exterminatuses have their place, and there have been huge assets to each faction at times, mainly when dealing with Nurgle or the Tyranids. However, they are also a bit of a meme due to the occasional misuse. That Exterminatus scene from TTS,
you know what, they're just running around shooting each other down there. Better just lay the Exterminatus upon these heretics. Direct fire!
seems kinda dumb, but that's pretty much what happened during the months of shame. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. We're only $1 per month to give you access to a boatload of Battle Mace 40 million hentai. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more explosive content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.